Professor Han wiped sweat from his brow as he carefully brushed dirt from the ancient bones. The distant sun of Kepler 9 beat down on the excavation site. This was his 5th season searching the ruins, but today was different. Today, he had found actual human remains. "Dr. Kim," he called excitedly. "Come quickly." Dr. Kim hurried over, her eyes widening at the sight. As the team's xenobiologist specializing in genetic archaeology, she immediately recognized the significance. Human remains on this far-flung world were extremely rare. "How old?" she asked, kneeling beside him. "Initial readings suggest at least 15,000 years, Han replied. "Long before any known human settlement in this sector." The two scientists worked carefully to extract samples. Back at their small research station, Dr. Kim began the delicate process of analyzing the ancient DNA. 3 days later, she stared at her screen in disbelief. "This can't be right," she muttered, running the sequence again. The molecular structure contained patterns she had never seen before. The DNA sequence had elements that didn't match any known genetic database in the galaxy. It wasn't just unusual, it was impossible according to current scientific understanding. "Professor Han, look at this," she said when he entered the lab. "This section here, it shouldn't exist." Han studied the screen. "Could it be contamination?" "I've checked 5 times. Whatever this is, it's part of the original human DNA." News of their discovery spread quickly despite their attempts at secrecy. Within a week, 3 ships arrived in orbit. Each represented a major galactic power: the Taiyang Confederacy, the Bak Coalition, and the June Empire. Dr. Kim felt uneasy as official delegations visited their small research station. Each group asked polite but probing questions about their work. "We are merely interested in cultural exchange," said Ambassador Sun of the Taiyang Confederacy, though his eyes lingered too long on their lab equipment. "The Bak Coalition would provide significant funding for joint research," offered Director Yoon, her smile not reaching her eyes. Commander Du of the June Empire was more direct. "The Empire believes findings of this magnitude should be shared for the benefit of all advanced civilizations." That night, after the visitors left, Han and Kim secured their samples in the station's small vault. "They know something we don't," Kim said. "Each of them wants these samples badly. But why?" Han nodded. "We should prepare to move everything off planet tomorrow. I don't trust any of them." They never got the chance. Kim woke to the sound of breaking glass at 3 a.m. Moving silently to her door, she saw 3 figures in dark clothing inside their lab. One was downloading data while the others searched through storage units. Kim slipped back into her room and accessed the emergency security protocol on her tablet. The station lights flashed red as alarms blared. The intruders fled, but not before one of them grabbed a sample container. By morning, the 3 ships had moved into aggressive positions around the planet. Each government denied involvement in the break-in while demanding the research team share their findings. For security reasons, they wouldn't risk interstellar incidents over ordinary human remains, Kim said as she and Han hurriedly packed essential equipment and samples. "What makes this DNA so valuable?" Han's old friend Captain Choi had arrived in a small transport ship, ostensibly bringing supplies. Now he would be their escape route. As they prepared to leave, Kim had a sudden insight. She pulled up the unusual DNA sequence once more and compared it to the quantum stabilization patterns used in FTL drive technology. "Han, look, there's a similarity here. This DNA sequence somehow maintains quantum coherence naturally. That should be impossible in living tissue." "Why would that matter?" Han asked, loading the last case. "Because every advanced civilization in the galaxy relies on artificial quantum coherence for their technology. If humans naturally evolved this ability." Her words were cut short by the sound of approaching ships. Through the window, they saw armed shuttles from all 3 powers descending toward the research station. "We need to go now," Han said, grabbing the final sample case. They ran for Captain Choi's ship, carrying the secret that 3 galactic powers would start a war to possess ancient human DNA that contained something no other species had achieved through thousands of years of technological advancement, something that could change the balance of power across the stars. As their ship broke atmosphere, Kim clutched the precious samples. Whatever this secret was, she was determined to understand it before it fell into the wrong hands. Captain Park's ship, the Starlight, jumped into hyperspace just as 3 military vessels converged on their position. Dr. Kim held her breath until the stars stretched into blue lines around them. They had escaped, for now. That was too close, she said, clutching the case containing her precious samples. Captain Park nodded, his face grim as he monitored the ship's systems. They'll track us. The jump will buy us a few hours at most. Kim studied him. Captain Park had been introduced as an old friend of Professor Han, but there was more to him than that. His precise movements and watchful eyes spoke of military training. The scars on his hands told stories he kept to himself. Han said you could help us, Kim said. Why would you risk yourself for this? Let's just say I owe Han a favor. Park adjusted their course. And I don't like seeing the big powers bully independent researchers. Over the next 3 days, they made a series of random jumps across 5 star systems. In between jumps, while hiding in asteroid fields or orbiting gas giants, Kim worked tirelessly in the small lab Park had installed on his ship. The DNA sequence is extraordinary, Kim explained as Park brought her a meal on the second day. Look at this molecular structure. It maintains quantum coherence naturally. No other known biological entity can do this. Park frowned at the display. In simple terms, Doctor, everything in the universe wants to decohere, to lose its quantum state, and become classical. It's why quantum computers are so hard to build. But this human DNA somehow preserves quantum states naturally. It's like finding birds with built-in anti-gravity. Their conversation was interrupted by alarm bells. A Taiyang patrol ship had detected them. They jumped again, narrowly avoiding capture. By the 5th day, they had outrun immediate pursuit, but knew it was temporary. Park revealed a hidden base on a small moon where they could rest and resupply. How did you know about this place? Kim asked as they landed in a concealed hangar. I wasn't always a simple cargo hauler, Park replied. I served in the Neutral Systems Defense Force. Before that, well, let's say I learned where to hide. In the security of the base, Kim made a breakthrough. Using the advanced equipment Park provided, she mapped the full quantum properties of the ancient DNA. This is why they're hunting us, she said, showing Park her findings. This sequence could revolutionize faster than light travel. Current FTL drives require massive energy to maintain quantum fields. With this biological template, ships could travel 10 times faster using a fraction of the fuel. Park's expression darkened. Whoever controls this controls the galaxy. But why would ancient humans have this adaptation? It makes no evolutionary sense. That night, Park introduced Kim to an old friend who lived on the moon. Ms. Zhou was a historian specializing in pre-dispersion human history. When Kim explained her discovery, Zhou's face went pale. You found it, Zhou whispered. The Seeder's gift. Zhou revealed a truth hidden from most of the galaxy. Humans hadn't simply failed to thrive among the stars. They had been hunted. 500 years ago, humans first developed primitive FTL travel, Zhou explained. They encountered advanced civilizations and were initially welcomed. Then someone discovered this same property in human DNA. The major powers of that era realized humans posed a fundamental threat to their technological dominance. What happened? Kim asked. War, genocide. Most human worlds were destroyed. A few scattered groups escaped to remote planets. The victors rewrote history, erasing humanity's achievements from galactic records. Their discussion was cut short by Park rushing in. We've been found. 3 ships just entered the system. As they raced back to the Starlight, Zhou pressed an old data chip into Kim's hand. Find the coordinates on this. It will lead you to others like you, humans who remember. They barely escaped as troops stormed the base. Once in hyperspace, Kim examined the chip and found a set of coordinates leading to an unmapped region. "We should go there," she told Park. "It might be our only chance to understand what we've discovered." Park plotted the course but looked troubled. "If what Joe said is true, this knowledge puts a target on your back that will never go away. Are you prepared for that?" Kim looked at the sample case containing the ancient DNA, the biological key that might restore humanity's place among the stars or doom them to final extinction. "I don't have a choice," she said. "If humans were nearly wiped out because of this once before, I need to make sure it doesn't happen again." The Starlight jumped into hyperspace, racing toward an unknown destination, while 3 of the galaxy's most powerful forces pursued them across the stars. The Starlight emerged from hyperspace at the edge of an unremarkable solar system. Captain Park checked his instruments with a frown. "This can't be right," he muttered. "There's nothing here, just a small star and a few gas giants." Dr. Kim studied the coordinates from Joe's data chip again. "These are definitely the right numbers." As they ventured deeper into the system, their sensors detected an unusual energy field surrounding what appeared to be empty space. Park carefully maneuvered toward it. "There's something there," Kim said, pointing at the view screen. "Like a shimmer in the stars." Suddenly, their communication system activated. A stern voice spoke. "Unidentified vessel, state your purpose or retreat immediately." Kim leaned toward the microphone. "My name is Dr. Kim. I have information about the Cedars. Ms. Joe sent us." Silence followed. Then, like a curtain being pulled aside, a green and blue planet appeared where there had been only empty space. "Cloaking technology," Park whispered in awe. "I've never seen anything this advanced." A small escort ship guided them to a landing pad nestled in a valley surrounded by mountains. As they disembarked, Kim was struck by how Earth-like this world was. Trees with green leaves, blue sky, and clean air. 20 people waited for them, all appearing fully human. An older man with silver hair stepped forward. "I am Elder Lee. We received Joe's message. You bring dangerous knowledge with you." They were taken to a modest building where food and drink awaited. As they ate, Elder Lee explained that their world, called Haven, had existed in secrecy for over 400 years. "We are direct descendants of the evacuation ships that fled when the purge began," Lee said. "Only 8 vessels escaped. Each carried genetic samples from thousands of humans and was sent in different directions." Kim shared her discovery of the ancient remains and the unusual DNA. "The body I found. Who were they?" Elder Lee's eyes grew sad. "You found one of the Cedars, the last line of defense for humanity." He led them to an underground chamber where a holographic display showed the galaxy. Tiny lights marked specific locations scattered across many arms of the spiral. When the alien alliances turned against humanity, our leaders realized we faced extinction. They devised a desperate plan. While evacuation ships fled with as many people as possible, the Cedars took on a different mission. Lee touched the display, and it zoomed in on one tiny light. Each Cedar voluntarily underwent genetic enhancement to stabilize and strengthen the quantum coherence in their DNA. They were then placed in stasis and sent to uninhabited worlds. If discovered by aliens, the unique properties of their DNA would reveal our greatest secret, potentially drawing attention to hidden human colonies. "They were decoys," Park said, understanding dawning on his face. "And record keepers," Lee added. "Each carried the complete genetic library of humanity and our technological knowledge, preserved in their enhanced DNA. They sacrificed themselves so that even if all colonies were found and destroyed, some trace of humanity would remain." Kim thought of the ancient remains she had studied. "The one I found. Had they been dead for a long time?" "Yes. The stasis systems were designed to last 10,000 years, but many failed earlier." Later, Kim was shown to a laboratory where Haven's scientists had been studying human quantum biology for centuries. A researcher named Jin demonstrated a small device that responded to her touch by powering up instantly. Pure quantum interface, Jin explained. No other species can use these tools because their biology causes quantum decoherence. Only humans maintain the coherence needed. This is how humans achieved early space travel, Kim realized. Not through mechanical engineering, but through biological interface. Exactly, Elder Lee said. Our ancestors could navigate hyperspace naturally, using their bodies as quantum anchors. When alien civilizations discovered this ability, they realized humans would always have an advantage they could never replicate artificially. That night, as Kim processed everything she had learned, alarms blared throughout the settlement. Park rushed into her room. "They found us," he said grimly. "A June Empire warship just entered the system." Elder Lee gathered the community leaders. "The shield cannot hide us from directed scans. They must have followed your ship." "I'm sorry," Kim said, guilt washing over her. "I've led them straight to you." Lee shook his head. This day was always coming. Now we must decide whether to run again or make our stand. An elderly woman stepped forward. "We have hidden long enough. Perhaps it is time humanity stopped running and reclaimed its legacy." As the community prepared for possible evacuation, Kim looked at the DNA samples that had started this journey. She understood now that she carried not just scientific curiosity, but the future of her entire species. The situation on Haven grew dire as 3 more warships joined the June vessel in orbit. Elder Lee called an emergency council, where representatives from all sectors of the hidden human colony gathered in an underground chamber. "We cannot win a direct confrontation," Park said, examining the tactical display. "Their weapons outmatch anything we have." Kim stood up. "Then we don't fight. We talk." "Talk," a council member scoffed. "They've hunted us for centuries." "Not these individuals," Kim replied. And not all alien civilizations agreed with the purge. The June ship could have fired already, but they haven't. They're waiting. After heated debate, the council agreed to Kim's plan. She would go with Park and 3 Haven representatives to meet delegates from each galactic power on neutral ground, a small space station at the edge of the system. As their shuttle approached the station, Kim clutched a small case containing her research and samples. "This has to work," she whispered. The meeting chamber was tense. Representatives from the Taiyang Confederacy, Bak Coalition, and June Empire sat across from the human delegation. Each side watched the other with suspicion. Commander Men of the June Empire spoke first. "You possess biological technology that violates the Treaty of 5 Suns. Surrender it immediately." "What we possess is not technology, but our natural biology," Kim replied calmly. She activated a holographic display showing the quantum properties of human DNA. "This is how we were born. It cannot be separated from who we are." The aliens exchanged glances. The Taiyang representative, Science Director Kang, leaned forward with interest. "You're saying this quantum coherence is natural to humans, not engineered?" "Exactly," Kim confirmed. "And rather than hiding this trait, we propose sharing its benefits through cooperation." Kim demonstrated how human quantum biology could enhance existing technologies across multiple fields: medicine, communication, transportation. The alien representatives watched with growing interest as she showed simulations of hybrid systems that combine their advanced engineering with human biological interfaces. "Working together," Kim concluded, "we could achieve breakthroughs that benefit everyone. But this requires acknowledging humanity's right to exist." The room fell silent. Then Commander Min spoke again, his tone softer. "Your proposal has merit, but the Ryu Imperium will never agree. They control the largest territory and most advanced fleet. Their Supreme Commander Oak has called for humanity's complete elimination." "Then we start without them," Park said. "Form a coalition of willing partners." Surprisingly, representatives from all 3 powers expressed cautious interest. Over the next 2 days, they drafted a preliminary agreement. Humans would receive protected status and autonomy within designated systems in exchange for collaborative research programs. Word of these negotiations spread quickly. 5 additional civilizations sent representatives to join the talks. The mood shifted from hostility to cautious optimism. Then disaster struck. A massive Ryu battle cruiser appeared in orbit around Haven without warning. Supreme Commander Oak's message was broadcast to all ships in the system. The human threat must be eliminated. Any who stand with them will be considered enemies of the Imperium. The coalition ships moved to defensive positions, but they were outgunned. On Haven, evacuation began immediately. "We've been through this before," Elder Lee told his people as they boarded escape vessels. "Humanity will survive." Kim, Park, and their new allies rushed back to the planet. The coalition ships engaged the Ryu cruiser, buying precious time for the evacuation. As they descended through Haven's atmosphere, they saw the first energy blasts strike the planet's surface. "We need to reach the underground archive," Kim shouted over the rumble of explosions. "We can't lose the genetic library." They raced through chaos as people streamed toward evacuation ships. Inside the mountain facility, teams were already loading crucial data and samples onto special transport vessels. A young researcher named Shin approached Kim with a small metallic cylinder. "This contains the complete map of human quantum genetics and all our research. If nothing else survives, this must." The ground shook violently as Ryu landing craft deployed troops. Park received reports that the coalition forces were taking heavy losses in orbit. "We need more time," Elder Lee said, watching the evacuation progress bars. 30 more minutes to get everyone out." Kim looked at Park, then at the coalition representatives who had come with them. "I have an idea, but it's dangerous." "What are you thinking?" Park asked. "We need to show Commander Oak what he's trying to destroy, and what he could gain instead." Kim held up the cylinder Shin had given her. "We take this directly to his ship." "That's suicide," Park objected. The Bach representative stepped forward. "Not if we go together, as a united front." Even Oak must listen to a formal delegation from 6 civilizations. As Ryu forces advanced toward the mountain facility, Kim, Park, and representatives from their new allies boarded a diplomatic vessel. They took off toward the massive Ryu battle cruiser, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Supreme Commander Oak," Kim transmitted, "we request an immediate audience to demonstrate what your attack will cost the entire galaxy." Supreme Commander Oak's massive form dominated the meeting chamber aboard the Ryu battle cruiser. His scaled skin gleamed under the harsh lights as he glared at the delegation standing before him. "You delay the inevitable," he growled. "Humans are an aberration in the natural order." Kim stepped forward, her heart racing. "Commander, I ask just 10 minutes of your time. What I'm about to show you affects every civilization in the galaxy." Oak gestured impatiently for her to continue. Kim activated her data tablet, projecting a series of astronomical charts. As she explained, explosions rumbled in the distance, the battle for Haven continuing below. "These readings come from ancient monitoring stations spread across the galaxy," Kim explained. "They show a pattern that repeats approximately every 50,000 years." The charts displayed wave-like patterns gradually increasing in amplitude. "These are quantum fluctuations in the fabric of space-time," Kim continued. "Minor ones happen constantly, but according to these records, a major event is approaching, one that will disrupt artificial quantum systems galaxy-wide." The alien representatives murmured among themselves. Even Oak seemed interested now. "What does this have to do with human DNA?" he demanded. Kim brought up a comparison showing the unusual properties of human genetics alongside the pattern of fluctuations. "Humans evolved on Earth during previous fluctuation events," she explained. "Our DNA adapted to maintain quantum coherence even during these disruptions. It's not a weapon. It's a natural defense mechanism against a galactic-scale threat." "Impossible," Oak scoffed, but his scientists were already examining the data with growing concern. The chief Ryu scientist turned to Oak. Commander, these readings match anomalies our deep space observatories have detected in the past decade. We attributed them to instrument error, but if these historical records are accurate, a violent tremor shook the ship, cutting him off. Alarms blared as systems throughout the vessel flickered and failed. What's happening? Oak demanded. Quantum field destabilization in the ship's core, a technician reported frantically. Drive systems failing. Kim's eyes widened. It's starting, earlier than predicted. As the ship's artificial gravity wavered, Kim pulled a small device from her pocket, one of the human quantum interfaces from Haven. It glowed steadily in her hand, while every electronic system around them fluctuated. Your technology cannot withstand these fluctuations, Kim explained urgently. But human biology can stabilize critical systems during the event. We've done it before. Oak stared at the working device in her hand while his own advanced technology failed around him. The records we found on Haven tell of previous galactic civilizations, Kim continued. Each rose to technological greatness, then suddenly collapsed during these fluctuation events. Humanity doesn't want to replace you. We want to prevent another collapse. The ship rocked again as more systems failed. Oak's communication officer reported similar failures occurring across his entire fleet. What do you propose? Oak asked, his hostility replaced by grim practicality. A partnership, Kim answered. Immediate ceasefire and protection for human settlements. In exchange, we'll help integrate quantum-stable biological interfaces into critical systems throughout the galaxy. Within hours, the attack on Haven stopped. Emergency teams of humans with specialized training spread throughout the coalition ships, stabilizing essential systems with bioquantum interfaces. The fluctuations intensified over the next few days, but wherever human interfaces had been installed, systems remained operational. 1 week later, representatives from 27 civilizations, including the Ryu Imperium, gathered on Haven to sign the Quantum Accord. The agreement granted humans protected status and established joint research centers on 5 worlds. Dr. Kim stood beside Captain Park as they watched the ceremony. From hunted to essential in 1 week, Park mused. An impressive change of fortune. Kim smiled, but her expression remained serious. This is just the beginning. The fluctuation event will last months, maybe years. We have much work to do. Elder Lee joined them, gazing at the diverse gathering of beings who had so recently been their enemies. The Cedars would be proud, he said quietly. Their sacrifice preserved not just humanity, but gave the galaxy a second chance. In the observatory above the ceremony hall, the ancient star charts continued to track the quantum fluctuations sweeping across the galaxy. Outside, ships from a dozen worlds worked together to establish a new warning network. At their cores, each contained a small interface touching human DNA, the biological key that would maintain stability through the cosmic storm. Humanity, nearly erased from galactic memory, had returned not as conquerors but as protectors. Their unique biology, once feared as a threat, was now recognized as the evolutionary response to a challenge that faced all intelligent life. The ancient human remains Dr. Kim had discovered on a distant world months ago had indeed contained a secret the galactic civilizations needed, not for domination, but for survival. The end.